Peter, I'm the candidate for this part of London, and it's a great honour to be trying to represent someone which is epitomising the history of the struggle for what we used to call homosexual equality, and then it was gay rights, and then lesbian and gay rights, and now it's LGBT History Month. Tell us what it was like in the 60s, which I don't remember because I was too young to enjoy it. How did the struggle start?
Well, up until 1967, when I was a gay teenager, homosexuality was punishable up to life imprisonment. And although there was a partial reform in 1967, most aspects of gay male life remained criminalised, and the arrests and convictions increased by 400%. In that era, there was no visibility for LGBT plus people. There were no out gay public figures, and the only time we ever appeared in the media was when people were exposed as serial killers, child molesters, or spies and traitors. When it came to the church and religion, there was absolute total blanket hostility. We were damned, destined to burn in hell. Otherwise, all we had was cliches, camp stereotypes in comedy shows on TV. LGBT plus kids in schools had no support whatsoever. They could be depressed and suicidal. They got no help from their teachers. And bullying in schools was rampant, as was hate crime on our streets. Many gay men were beaten up and even murdered, and the police investigations were pathetic, perfunctory, inadequate. When it came to the medical and psychiatric profession, they still deemed homosexuality to be a sickness, an illness that required cure. And indeed, on the National Health Service at public expense, gay men were given electric shock therapies in order to try and turn them straight. So it was a very difficult, tough time for us.
And the criminal justice system came down very heavily on gays and lesbians and anyone else they thought was a deviant, as they would put it then. And a lot of that happened right behind us here at Bow Street Magistrates Court and Bow Street Police Station. And I think you are no stranger to these cells yourself, Peter.
Well, this was the very police station that Oscar Wilde was taken to when he was arrested in 1895. And on two occasions, I was also taken here, having been arrested for staging completely peaceful, non-violent LGBT plus protests for equality. And on two of the occasions, I was actually put in the very same cell as Oscar Wilde.
That was them trying to be nice.
Yes.
But it wasn't, most of it wasn't, I mean, this struggle now, when you look back on it, has a wonderful sort of romantic trajectory. And when you look at the different tactics, you had the sort of the quiet lobbying behind the scenes with some sort of respectable people. You had the very confrontational, high-profile outrage, lots of things in between. When you look back at that sort of great arsenal of different campaigning techniques, do you think there's anything we should have done differently or earlier or later? What's the lessons of that struggle, do you think?
Well, I think the LGBT struggle was very similar to the suffragette struggle. You had the suffragists who did mainstream insider lobbying of Parliament and government, and then you had the suffragettes who did direct action to challenge and shake up the system. And so it was with the LGBT plus struggle. We had Stonewall working on the inside and outrage campaigning and protesting on the outside. It was sort of like good cop, bad cop. I think both reinforced each other, and between the two of them, got those changes that we have now seen and enjoyed.
Now, you've also been spearheading the fight for gay LGBT plus rights in other countries as well. And you and I share a loathing for the Putin regime, and you've also tangled with Mugabe and others. When you look around the world, it's a much less pleasant picture than it is here, isn't it?
That's right. Although there has been progress with countries like India, Trinidad and Tobago, and Botswana recently criminalising homosexuality, there are still 69 countries where being gay is a crime, where same-sex relations can be punishable with penalties ranging from a few years imprisonment right up to life imprisonment. And in 12 Muslim-majority countries, there is the death penalty. The death penalty in the 21st century for homosexuality.
And there's even some attempts to recriminalise homosexuality, as they put it, in some African countries. I think Ghana, is that right, is trying to introduce new criminal penalties.
Well, Ghana already has the criminalisation of homosexuality under a colonial era law that was originally imposed by Britain as the colonial power in the 19th century. But right now they are seeking to strengthen that law to extend to even mere advocacy of gay equal rights will become a serious criminal offence.
And as a campaigner now in this space, with the battle still not won in so many parts of the world, what would your suggestion be? Where should we be putting the bulk of our efforts? What's on your to-do list?
Well, there are still battles to fight and win here in Britain, such as a ban on conversion therapy and reform of the Gender Recognition Act to make it easier for trans people to change their legal documents. But really the front line of the struggle is now global. You know, that international struggle to secure the right of every person on this planet to be free and equal, that is where it's at.
Peter, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm also so pleased that your support for the Progressive Alliance means that you were able to come to my campaign launch party, and I just want to say I'm really grateful for that, and it's been a pleasure knowing you over the last 40 years. We started as adversaries in the disgraceful Bermondsey by-election in the early 80s, and I've apologised for that, and you're very gracious to accept my apology, and I'm so pleased and proud to have you as a friend and ally now.
Absolutely. If we want to get rid of the Conservatives, all those who oppose Conservatives have to unite and work together. Collaboration, unity and solidarity, that's the way we will win.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Give me a hug. Okay. I think we're done.
Yep.
You put your cap back on.